Hi everyone, it's Amanda. How are you doing? Today's the 27th of July 2019 and I've got a number of different topics that I'd like to talk about, but I think I will break them down into individual videos because they're quite big topics in their own right. I just put up a request for any questions on my Facebook page, so there's a lot of questions that have come in. So we might do a Q&A video if I get time today. And I also want to just update you on various bits of news that have been coming in over the past week. I had a bit of a frustrating week because there's a lot of building work noise in our street at the moment, literally directly opposite my window where I work. And I haven't been able to make any videos. So, but anyway, I've still got the information in my head. And the workmen have just turned up again today, so I thought, well, okay, I'm ready energetically to give these messages. So apologies if there's any background noise. There's not much I can do about it, but we'll persevere. Okay. This video is going to be looking at the new Prime Minister of the UK, Boris Johnson, who came into power on the 24th of July 2019. He was actually voted in by the Conservative Party on the 23rd, my birthday. What a great birthday present, hey? That's a bit of English humour, if you don't understand English humour. It's important for those of you that are overseas to realise that he wasn't voted in by the general population. He was voted in by the Conservative Party membership, which makes up, I'm just looking down at my notes, it makes up 0.25% of the population of the UK. So although he is a figure that everybody knows, certainly here in the UK, he's been around for quite a long time, he hasn't actually been voted in yet by the populace. Having said that, maybe there's a general election on the horizon, although he has ruled it out before October the 31st, which is the day when we are supposed to be leaving the European Union. And he's certainly come in with the mandate to take us out of the European Union by October the 31st. I still have a slight question mark in my head in terms of whether there could be a general election before October the 31st. Although if it's going to happen, I guess it needs to happen quite quickly, but we'll see. It's very much a moving feast, this, and with Boris at the helm, it's not going to be boring, and it's going to be very volatile energy that we are playing with. He is a character who people seem to either love or loathe in equal measure, and he's certainly somebody that people seem to have an opinion on, okay? So here is another person coming onto the world stage who potentially can be quite divisive, but I feel that what I am being called to say by Spirit is to try to bring people to an understanding of why he's in that job at this time, because it's completely and utterly destined that he is. When we look at the numerology, it's just absolutely staggering, honestly. The numerology is just insane in terms of he is where he's meant to be right now. So love him or loathe him, he's where he's meant to be. And as a collective, if we believe that we can influence consciousness by our individual energy that we carry towards anything or anybody, then really what is being asked of us is that if we can, we need to put our energy behind any new leader that appears, even if we don't necessarily like them, although I know some of you do like him, to try to help them be the best that they can be, okay? To aspire to the highest ideals, because anybody, whether they're a politician or, well, anybody is flawed, okay? And Boris is somebody who is flawed like, all of us. and I think his flaws have been very visible for many to see for a reasonable period of time. Some of that personal as well. He's a real ladies' man. I must just say, because I was really feeling into his energy today, knowing I was going to come on and talk about him, and I've put on this dress, which I realise in retrospect is sort of quite Leo energy, isn't it? It's sort of like a zebra type print. I don't know, it just reminds me of sort of like an African sunny energy. And I never wear heels. Excuse me, I never wear heels. But today I really wanted to wear a pair of high heels, and I was thinking, this is very strange. I'm just sitting in my room. Who cares what's on my feet? I could just have a pair of flip-flops. But I thought, oh, this is Boris's energy, because he's a bit of a ladies' man. You know, he likes his ladies. So I think he's a heels man. But anyway, we'll see. Not that really that has any bearing on what he's going to do on the world stage. But for me as a channeler, it's just interesting when I get into somebody's energy, because it's like, oh, okay, that's Boris, is it? Because that's not me, usually. So let's just dive straight into it. I'm going to pull some cards with regard to him as well. But I'd like to just have a little look at the numerology to start with, because as I say, it's so interesting. Oh, before I do that, I must just say to you, this was a couple of days before he was elected, okay, on the 23rd. Metatron gave me a song linked to Boris Johnson, and it hasn't gone away. And it's a really interesting song. It's actually a song from Mary Poppins, okay, the musical Mary Poppins. And it's the line, a spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down. Makes the medicine go down, makes the medicine go down. A spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down in the most delightful way. And she really emphasises, Julie Andrews, she really emphasises delightful way. Now, when you get a message like that from Spirit, really what you shouldn't do is then try and interpret it too much. But it's really tempting to do that, because actually that line, a spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down, could be interpreted in many different ways. And I suspect it will become very, very obvious what Metatron means by that linked to Boris Johnson. I will interpret it because I can't resist, is I've noticed since he's come in, which is literally only, he's been in the job, I don't know, 48 hours or so, he's already starting to say and introduce policies that are what people will want in terms of electioneering, okay? So there's a promise of, I think it's 20,000 more police on the streets. It's almost like sweeteners, you know, to make something more palatable. Whether that something is him, whether that something is the Conservative Party, whether that something is Brexit, whether that something is what happens after Brexit and we go into potentially a little dip, I don't know. But I think it's really interesting. A spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down. The thing is, the medicine's going to have to go down whether you like it or not. And also it's almost like, you know, when children, like, they pinch their nose because the medicine tastes really foul, but you're going to have to swallow it anyway. That's the sort of energy I'm getting with him. So he's come in to give the medicine, basically. And at the end of the day, sometimes you have to realise that whatever you have wished for and has manifested, and in this case we're probably talking Brexit, we then have to see through what that does, okay, for the country. I've already done a reading on Brexit, I don't know when it was, 8 months ago maybe, and it was tied into the original date when we were going to be leaving. So that date came and went, but I feel the message still very much stands. And from memory, what basically I remember from doing it was what came through was that when we leave, because I can't really see that we're not going to leave now, when we leave, there will be a renaissance, was the word that came through, in terms of having to pull together to make the most of it, and actually for a new spirit of what it means to be British to rise from the ashes. And what I was shown was a period of extreme wobble in the short term, but long term a pulling together and a chance to really show the world what we are made of as an individual country. And it quite surprised me at the time that that was what the message was, but that was what the message was. Roll forward 6-8 months, whenever it is, we now have got a leader in Boris Johnson who seems to be committed to seeing it through, okay? So let's now have a look at his numerology. He was born on the 19th of June 1964. So that makes him, he's only a few years older than me, actually. He's quite young. But that's quite nice that we've got somebody who's a bit younger. You know, he's not in his 70s. He is, my maths. If I'm 52, he's 55. Is that right? Yeah, he's 55. Oh, of course he's 55. I wanted to talk about 55. He's 55. He was born on the 19th of June 1964. Now, in terms of numerology, the numbers that we pick out of that birth date are number 19, 36, which is what all the digits add up to, and then number 9, okay? Let's start with number 9 first, because number 9 is really interesting. Number 9 is linked to the planet Mars, okay? We've talked about this many times before when I've been looking at numerology of other people. Somebody else I looked at recently was a 9. Anyway, he's a 9, links to Mars. And there's a quote from Boris Johnson. There are many quotes out there over the years. Some good, some bad, some offensive. But this particular quote was something along the lines of, the chances of me becoming leader are the same as Elvis being found on Mars or myself being reincarnated as an olive. The chances of me becoming leader are the same as Elvis being found on Mars or myself being reincarnated as an olive. So he's got quite a wry sense of humour is the first thing to say. But I thought, those of you that follow me, it's like, wow, haven't we just been looking at Elvis Presley? Haven't we been just, Elvis Presley's linked to Mars as well. I think Elvis Presley might be a 9. I remember talking about Mars and Elvis Presley. And here we've got Boris coming in. And I just thought that was almost like a nod. It was like a nod to the fact that he's tapped into energy more than anything. In all seriousness, take away the politics. He's tapped into energy. He's tapped into where the collective psyche is. Now, some of you might now be screaming at me saying, no, he's not, Amanda. I can't stand him. He's not speaking for me. Don't forget that where the collective energy is isn't necessarily where you personally might want it to be. You might not be in agreement with where the collective energy is, but you still have to appreciate that's where it is. So he's able to, he must have Leo in his chart. Surely he's got Leo in his chart. Those astrologers out there, you can tell me that, because he's a Gemini. But it was almost like, is he a Gemini? Yeah, he's a Gemini. I was like, he can't be a Gemini, because I just feel he's got such Leo energy. Of course, he came to power in that Leo energy. But I'm seeing him here now like this big black, I was going to say black cat. I wanted to say lion, like a lion type energy. And lions just like look at you, you know, they look at you and they're able to see their prey, but they're also able to scan the horizon, sense what's coming up. They're in tune with the land and everything that's around them. So I'm just seeing him like that, you know, he's also quite hawkish in terms of hawk stroke eagle energy as well, able to see from great heights. He's a fascinating character whether you like him or not, because he is intelligent, okay, but yet he appears to be the fool a lot of the time. And again, it's interesting because he doesn't mind people thinking that he is the fool, okay? We've all seen the pictures of him stuck, you know, when he was bungee jumping or whatever it was, you know, on the rope. He was doing some sort of thing for the Olympic Games and he got stuck halfway across on a zip wire and he's just hanging there, you know, looking ridiculous. To Boris, he would have just had a good old laugh about that, you know? So there's a conundrum with him, which maybe is the Gemini thing, which on one hand, he doesn't take himself too seriously. He doesn't mind people thinking he's a fool. But the other side is he really isn't, okay? He really isn't. He's like the hawk, he's like the eagle, he's like the lion. He sees it all. And I'm also hearing he goes in for his prey as well. So it'll be interesting seeing him converse with the leaders of the EU, because I feel I'm wanting to say they've met their match in this guy, okay? I will just say at the outset here that I am not somebody that is pro leaving the EU, okay, because I know how this video is going to come across, which is that it's going to sound like I'm all for it. What I'm actually doing is trying to just be neutral here and bringing through what spirit want me to say, okay, because otherwise I'll just get criticized in the comments that, oh, you just want this, okay. I'm actually bringing through what I'm feeling, and what I'm feeling is that he's a good match for what I'm hearing Metatron say are the big beasts within the EU, okay. It's almost like I'm now seeing a bear pit. So, you know, it's not going to be pretty, guys. It's not going to be pretty at all. And some people, okay, let's go with that, Metatron. Metatron showed me the bear pit. It's literally like two bears sparring at each other. Not a particularly nice thing to see. But what I'm being shown is that some people will almost be quite attracted to that. You know, they'll be quite attracted to that energy of like, you go and get him, you know, you go and get them, you know, and give them one from me type energy, you know. And then the other part comes back and gives one back, and it's all quite brutal. It's all quite gladiator type energy. And there's a part of us within our DNA that resonates with that almost like bear pit fight, because as I've said, we've been the people in past lives who've sat at the gallows and watched and absolutely gone, yeah, give him one, you know. And as a spiritual being, we're like, oh no, that's surely. But if there's any part of the fight that is to come that sort of stirs up a bit of that sort of, I don't know, passion or lust for blood almost, that needs to be healed, okay? And that can be something that you don't have to maybe even admit to anybody else, but I do feel it's there within a lot of us, okay? So what we have to do with that is we have to bring in the ray of peace, and we have to bring in the blue ray. And I'm almost now being shown the bear pit, and above the bear pit is the dove of peace coming in, reminding the two warriors, because it feels like it's Boris against one particular person within the EU. It might be Michael Barney, I'm not sure if it's him or not, but it's one person in particular, and it's like they are being reminded that it doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to go at it hammer and tongs. But there's a lot at stake in terms of they feel that they're having to play it that way for the audiences back home. So we, as the audience that watch, can help to shift that. That doesn't have to be the scenario that plays out. If we can heal that aspect within us that still has an inkling of, yeah, you know, you give it to them type energy, because that isn't at all 5D. And we know that, we know it. So let's just bring in the ray of sapphire peace at this point. Sapphire peace, okay, before I go any further. Metatron saying you're going to need a lot of that. What he means by that is that it's going to be a constant job for us as light workers to bring the energy back to peace within ourselves when we potentially may get triggered by somebody like Boris Johnson, but there are other figures on the world stage, without naming them, that have the same ability to stir that sort of antagonistic, aggressive energy. We need to just keep bringing wave upon wave of peace within us so that we don't react to it, because if we react to aggression, we create more aggression, okay? The only way that you can stop any energy that is fiery in nature, but not in a good way, is to calm the flames within yourself, okay? All right. There was something else that I was going to say, but it'll come back about the bear pit. Okay, let's go back to the numerology, guys. There's a lot to say on Boris, so sorry if it's a little bit all over the place. So yeah, I was saying he's 9. Okay, so he's that Mars energy. It's red. It's a red energy. Okay, Mars is a red energy, and he's a number 9 numerologically. What this shows is he's got great passion. He's got enormous energy. He has got fire. He has got determination. He has got motivation. But there is also, all colours have the negative side, as I say, or the challenging side, not negative, challenging side. And the challenging side of number 9 is you've got to find a way to channel that, okay? He does run. I know he runs, so that's good. You often see him out running with his cap on, and he needs that. He needs an outlet. I would also say he probably needs sex as an outlet as well, and he's well known as a bit of a Lothario. Lots of women usually on the go, although he's got one lady at the moment who's in the public eye, Carrie. But he's known for having had numerous affairs with women, and I'm not saying that's right. It's just I can see in his energy field that that's something that it's almost like it's a real need with him. I mean, sex is a need for everybody, but with him it's really primal. It's a real primal thing. He's almost operating from that primal energy. So sport as well. You know, he needs these activities to balance out all this red fiery energy. He can be a hothead as well, I'm hearing. He can be a hothead that goes with that. Sometimes doesn't always think through what he says, which may be not excusing it, partly why some of the things that have been attributed to him over the years, which are offensive in nature, some of the things that he said, it's this hot-headedness that he has. He just, you know, if he wants to say it, he'll say it. On a bad day, he blows his top. Wonder if he's got a temper. I would imagine he has got a temper. I don't know whether he has or not, but I'm sensing he does. Let's go back now to the 19 and number 36. This is where this is all linked into him being a man of destiny, because he is a man of destiny. He's where he's meant to be. I said that at the start. Number 19 is, and I'm talking about colour numerology here, colour mirrors, the system that I used to teach and I'm still linked to, still respect. Number 19 is linked to, it's called resurrection and new beginnings. Okay, so out of the ashes of the Theresa May leadership, which sort of didn't really lead anywhere, she didn't get us out of the EU, was thwarted at every turn. We've now got a phoenix type energy in Boris coming through, which is about resurrection and new beginnings. Now that is also for him, but I also feel it's linked maybe to the country as well, okay? So he's almost like this character where he's just able to rebirth himself, and it's almost like whatever, if he gets, it's the fighter in the ring again. It's almost like a knockout punch isn't a knockout punch for Boris. A knockout punch takes him down, but then he's up again within 5 minutes, and actually he's almost like he's capable of reinvention. So that's very much tied into that. Resurrection and new beginnings in terms of number 19 is linked to two colours. It's linked to magenta and it's linked to gold. Magenta is the bridge that takes you from an old way of being to a new way of being. So this may very well be taking the UK from an old identity to a new identity. And gold underneath is positive. Gold as a colour is always is positive. Well, actually there is a few flip sides, but generally I'm feeling it's a positive energy here with the number 19 energy. The challenging side of gold, I will just say it because I've mentioned it, is it can be linked to an addictive personality. There's a side to him, I will talk about it, which is addicted to the spotlight. Okay, he can't help himself. But we all have addictions of one nature or another. So there is an addictive aspect here with him to things that maybe we don't even know of. I'm not alluding to anything horrendous here, I don't know. I'm not being shown. But generally that number 19 energy with him is more about, it's a bounce back, it's like he bounces back. He's like a rubber ball is what I'm being shown. He's like a rubber ball, he'll always bounce back. From Metatron's given me the analogy of like a squash court now, or a tennis match. When you're watching, I'm more used to watching tennis. So when you're watching tennis and a ball comes back over the net and it is so far out of reach and you think there's no way they're going to get that. And somehow they get it and they bring it back. That's his sort of energy. He's got a bounce ability. I'm hearing the Boris bounce. So what that means is politically, I feel we'll get a Boris bounce, okay, whether it's happened already or whether it's to come in the next few months, which is people actually starting to rally around this guy. I'm talking here about the general population and thinking, okay, well I had my reservations, but actually he looks all right. Maybe he can really do this, because he's definitely come in, whether he can deliver it or not is a different matter, but he's come in with a message of, it feels more hopeful, okay? I've actually been quite surprised myself, to be honest, because I'm very much on the fence with Boris. I'm quite neutral, really, with regard to my feelings about him. If anything, they've been a little bit negative in the past. But it's been interesting just watching my own personal energy field with him, because literally the last 48 hours or so, also because I'm an empath, I can pick up the energy that's out there. And there is definitely an energy out there, which is a lot of people are sort of like thinking, oh, maybe he can actually do this. Maybe he can actually put one in the back of the goal, you know, for the UK. I think that's what I'm picking up. So he's also got a very sunny disposition. You know, he's got that shock of blonde hair. He looks a bit like the sun, you know, it's like you can't miss him. If you were in a room full of people, you'd spot him straight away. It's like, that's Boris. He's also one of the few people that actually, like Kylie, you know, Kylie, Trump as well, Donald. It's like people know him by his first name. You know, there aren't many people that have that in our world. He does, okay? Boris, he's whether you like him or not, this is the whole point really. We're going to have to get used to him, and if it's that whole thing about sometimes it's better to align your energy to something, even if you don't particularly like it, to help, as I said at the start, to bring up the best of what the potential is there, okay? Doesn't mean you have to approve. It means that if you're in the mix, you can help make the cake. If you're not even in the mix, well, your opinions, your beliefs, your perspectives, your energy, it's not going to be in the final product, okay? So number 19. Yeah, I also want to pick out number 36 with Boris. So add up all the digits of his birth, 196 and 1964 all added up singly. We get to 36. 36 is the gateway. He's got the gateway energy, and it's the one who's being asked to shine the light for other people. Even if you took Brexit completely and utterly out of the equation, which is hard to do at the moment in the UK because it's so overriding, but if you did, nobody would look back probably over the last 2 or 3 years here in the UK as the most golden period. It's been a period of confusion, of shadow, of nobody knowing what's happening, of not particularly strong leadership, of being thwarted. And so he's coming in here, he's got the 36 energy, which is it's the gateway. It's the gateway to something, you know. I don't know what's on the other side of the gateway, but he's leading us somewhere, okay? Straight away I can hear some of you out there and you're saying right to the gates of hell. You know, don't say that, okay? Don't say that, because as soon as you put that energy out there to somebody and their mission and what they're capable of doing, you start to make that a reality, okay? Those weren't my words, by the way. I could hear them in the collective, because he's a dualistic figure. So what we have to try and do is, even if you don't like the guy, even if you don't like his politics, you have to try and envisage him or anybody else on the world stage that you don't like in terms of being better than the version that you dislike at the moment. Does that make sense? So see that there is a gateway there for the UK. He's the one that's going to take us through it, whether you like it or not. So let's hope that he's shining the brightest light, okay, and that he is going to be helped in that process. So yeah, resurrection and new beginnings, number 19. 36, the gateway energy, being the light for other people. And number 9, Mars. And now I want to talk about 55 with him. He's 55. Apparently, I haven't verified this. I saw this on somebody else's website just when I was flicking through 55 numerology. Someone said that he was, not only was he 55 when he became Prime Minister, he was 55 and 5 days old when he became Prime Minister. So we've got all the 5s running all the way through. 55, by the way, as a colour energy, is copper and pink, and it relates to Mother Earth. It relates to Gaia. Now, I don't know what his environmental policies are, to be honest. Am I right in thinking he was the one that was opposed to the Heathrow expansion? I think he was. I don't know. But anyway, the 55 energy is around him. In terms of, again, let's try and hold the highest vision. Mother Earth, Gaia. Okay, so it is what it is. You could read that either way. You could read it that he's really not going to help environmental policies, or let's hope the highest vision comes true and that he could be a champion of the earth in some way. making cities, I don't know, carbon neutral or whatever. I mean, he did bring the Boris bikes to London. I'm just going to spray the Earth Elemental as I'm talking about Mother Earth, which was one way of trying to get some of the traffic off the roads. Not the whole answer, of course. I wouldn't be surprised, you know, whether there might be something linked to environment with him that he could do once he's past the whole Brexit, you know, conundrum. 55, what does 55 mean? 55 is linked into various things. You can Google plenty of resources online linked to number 55, but the things that I've pulled out of it is mainly it links to major change, okay? It's a signifier of major change which is about to happen. So for him, yes, he's suddenly become Prime Minister, age 55, but I also think it's linked to major change for the UK. It can also be unexpected change. It's about movement, it's about letting go of old structures. There's an adventurous energy to 55. It's breaking free, it's linked into soul mission. And for me, it's also linked into the fifth dimensional energy. Now, again, it's really easy to think, oh, how can he be a fifth dimensional energy? You know, he's bogged down in 3D politics, because politics is still, by and large, very much enmeshed in 3D energy. The thing is, for politics at any level to get out of that 3D cesspit and mire, you've got to have somebody that is able to bridge both 3D and 5D. Even if they haven't got a full understanding of what 5D is, you have to have somebody who's willing to take a few steps out of it. So for me, the fact that he's got this 55 energy seems to be, you know, very prevalent right now. I even heard somebody say he's the 55th Prime Minister of the UK. I don't know whether that's true or not. I haven't checked that out, but he's certainly 55. It's the harbinger of massive change, and the biggest change that's on our planet at the moment is the move from 3D to 5D. So somehow he's in the mix of that. Okay, I'm not saying he's a champion of fifth dimensional energy. I'm saying he's part of the jigsaw that helps move us to new energy. Nobody really knows, you know, what the world looks like in 5 years' time or in 10 years' time, what boundaries look like, what the UK looks like, what the USA looks like, what Europe looks like. But here is a man who seems to have been elected to bring about some massive change. Yeah, the other interesting thing with him, before I pull some cards, is that he was born in the United States. He was born in New York, so he must have dual citizenship. I wonder whether that means he could one day become president of the USA. No, I'm only joking with you. That's just a joke. But yeah, it's interesting. He was born in New York. Okay, so there is this. It's not just imaginary. There is this link with him and the US. And I think that would be there even if Donald Trump wasn't in power. I think there is just this he's got it in his blood, basically. He's got the American energy running through his energetic DNA, certainly. But I'm hearing he's very much a man of the world as well. Okay, there goes the digger outside. I don't know if you can hear that. I'm going to pull some cards at this point. Okay, let's pull some cards for Boris. Let's just see what we get. So this is the Mystical Shaman Oracle deck by Alberto Villardo and Colette Baron Reed and Marcela Lobos. So interesting, on the deck of cards, it's got the eyes. I was just saying about his eyes, Boris Johnson. He has got very blue eyes, actually, and it's like he sees everything. And he's also I'm being told he's very aware of his enemies, you know, and nothing gets past him, basically. All right, let's have a card for Boris, please. Archangel Metatron. One card for Boris, and then we might ask some specific questions as well. Okay, that one. Soul Retrieval, 49. That's an interesting one, and I kid you not, that is on the bottom of the deck, card number 55. Wow. Card number 55 on the bottom of the deck is called Taming the Wind. Okay, and the one that came up for him is Soul Retrieval. So let's just have a little feel into that. Soul Retrieval. I'm going to go with my own intuition in terms of this card. It shows a butterfly. I think it's supposed to be a butterfly. It shows the sun, so he's very linked into the energy of the sun. I said that earlier. I actually want to say with this, because it's not really about a personal reading for Boris Johnson, this is all tied into his political role. Soul retrieval, it's like he's trying to retrieve, for him, it's like he's trying to retrieve the soul of the UK. It's like, what is the UK? What does the UK mean? Is the UK even the UK? Does it include Scotland? Does it include Wales? Does it include Northern Ireland? There is a train of thought that this could be the start of the breakup of the United Kingdom at some point. I hope that doesn't happen personally, but it's almost about who are we as a country? Who are we as a nationality? What is our soul? You know, and you could very easily say we're retrieving our soul from a place where it's been taken away. Where has it been taken away? It's been taken away by the European Union, in terms of becoming just part of a wider conglomerate, you know, which is all underneath one flag. I'm not saying I agree with any of this, by the way, but that's just what I'm feeling from the card. This is his energy. I'm retrieving back the soul of the country. Let's just see what the official meaning of that card is, card number 49. And of course 4 and 9 add up to 13. 13 is the energy of rebirth after death. Okay, so it's saying you are no longer fragmented, you are one with creation. You have healed the cause of the pain you feel, so you do not need to dwell on it any longer. If you're still hovering over an old wound, find a new flight path. Don't be distracted with the little stuff you've already mastered. Go for the big one, the journey back to Eden. And then it talks about medicine here. It says, when did you compromise what you truly believed in to be loved or accepted by someone? Think back over your life and find the time or times when this happened. Vow never to compromise your integrity again. What have you agreed to in the name of love that you know is deeply wrong? Make it right in this instance. It is actually talking about the Garden of Eden, this card. And it's talking about taking us back on a journey to the Garden of Eden, to the rivers and the trees that belong to God. When we return to Eden, we are whole again. So I do genuinely think that his energy is very much linked into taking the country back to a time and a state which feels Eden-like. Whether that is possible, whether that is achievable, whether that even ever existed, isn't the question. This is the energy that is around him, that he is retrieving something back, okay? And he's doing it with 55 energy, okay? He's doing it with the 55 energy. Taming the Wind. I almost want another card that goes with that. Let's just see what goes with that card. Apologies about the noise. I've had it all week. Keep smiling. What goes with card number 55, Taming the Wind? Ooh. Okay. My last video that I did, I talked about Mary Magdalene, and she brought in the energy of Christ, and she talked about, she reminded us of the story of Christ where he's on the Sea of Galilee, I think, and yeah, this is perfect. And and Jesus went to sleep in the boat, and all of the and then a wind whipped up basically around the boat, and all of the disciples in the boat got really frightened because they thought that the water was going to come in the boat and they were all going to drown. And they woke up Christ, and Christ stood up and he just said to the wind, "Be still," and the wind calmed down. And then he turned to the disciples and he said, why are you so afraid? Why do you not have faith? Why do you not trust? And I think, I'm not saying Boris is Christ, I'm saying that's the energy that's here. At a time in the country where, worst case scenario, people are panicking and thinking, oh my God, what the hell is going to happen? We're going to leave the EU, trade's going to go through the floor, the pound is going to collapse, my job is going to go, what's going to happen to future generations? You know, I don't like the energy that's resultant in the country, uprising of racism as an example, which, you know, that's a whole other thing. And it's like, no, it's like he's got the energy of like, just calm down, you know, it's all going to be okay. And what he is asking is, can you just trust that it's going to be okay? And just have a little faith, have a little trust in the outcome. Let's have one more card, because I did say I was going to pull one more card. Okay. The Time Master, card number 55, okay? It's time. It's time. It's time to do that. It's time to do this is what I'm hearing. The Time Master. What else am I getting from that? The Time Master. He hasn't actually got much time to deliver on the promise. He's elected in on the 24th of July. We're meant to leave the EU on the 31st of October. It's only a few months. So I don't know if this is linked into somehow he's able to weave time, you know? I mean, Metatron's able to do that. Metatron's able to, you know, if you've got a really busy morning and you've got 110 things to do and you're not going to be able to do them all in the time, you ask Metatron to bend time. You bend time and time can slow down. There's something here linked to Boris's energy where he can do that as well. It's almost like he's either given a bit more time or he just uses the time that he's got very productively. He's a master of time. That's what it's saying. But he's built for the times that we are in. He's built for the times that we are in. Let's pull a card now linked to Brexit, and I'm just going to see which deck to use. I've got a few different decks out here. Shall I use this deck? Yes. Shall I use this deck? I can use any deck. Okay. Well, I'm going to use a deck by another deck by Colette Baron Reid. Actually, this one is the Wisdom of the Oracle. Move that back a little bit. So let's just ask Brexit. Let's just ask for some energy and guidance with regard to Brexit. You know, it's like, is Brexit going to happen? I can't see it's not going to happen, but I'll ask the question, but I've already got a yes. Let's just have a look. Brexit. Show me what it looks like. October the 31st. Show me what Brexit looks like, the energy of Brexit. That one. All that glitters. All that glitters is not gold is the first thing that comes into my mind. Card number 16. Okay, all that glitters is not gold. We've got two masks on a pile of gold. Let's pull a few more cards. On the bottom of the deck, we've got Clean It Up. So I will take that one as well. Let's have 5 cards, shall we? Because we've got this 5-5 energy with Boris. So that's the first 2 cards. Brexit for the UK. Any message with regard to Brexit, UK? 3 more cards, please, Metatron. Here and Now. Two more cards. Brexit. Flexible. I'm going to take a tarot card as well. To be fair, okay. Just need some water. Oh, it's hot today. Right, what have we got? All that glitters. Clean it up. Here and now, which is between the past and the present, floating around in limbo. The need for flexibility. And then we've got an energy of to be fair, balancing the scales. Okay. I'm feeling I'm being shown after Brexit and before Brexit. I'm feeling this is after Brexit. All that glitters is not gold. Clean it up. Some of the promises that have been made by the Leave campaign are unobtainable, I'm hearing. Whether this is linked into control of immigration or something else, I don't know. I have always felt that some people, not all people, before I get attacked for saying this, but some people have used Brexit as almost like an umbrella energy to sweep up a lot of things that they don't necessarily like about the state of the country, maybe the state of themselves as well, to blame others, okay? So it's almost as though when Brexit happens, we enter some sort of nirvana-like state where suddenly everything is okay. You know, we've got our borders back, we have our sovereignty back, everything is fine. I think the message here is that there is a realization that even with all of those things in place, there's still going to be an awful lot that is wrong and that needs to be worked through and literally cleaned up. And I'm hearing, I've used this phrase many times before, cleaning up your own backyard, okay? Not being able to, it's almost like once the reason for whatever it is, crime, whatever, you know, is taken away because of, for example, mass immigration, say that suddenly stopped tomorrow and nobody else ever came into the country. That's not going to happen, of course, but say it did. You would still then have to start sorting out your own backyard, because there's this realization that actually, oh, okay, it sort of was never about them. It was always about me. It was always about myself. It was always about my perception of the world. It was always about how I maintain my own community, my own piece of earth. I live by the beach. You know, you go to the beach, people come down here for the weekend if it's a nice weather, and they leave litter everywhere. You know, they don't clean up their own backyard. They expect other people to do it for them. So it's this thing about, I just feel as though there's a period post-Brexit straight away. Maybe not straight away, there might be a little bit of celebration to start with, but then it's almost like a feeling like, oh, we've still got a problem with X, we've still got a problem with Y. Oh, that didn't sort it all out. It's not going to sort it all out. So all that glitters is not gold. Clean it up. Here and now, that feels like it's a card for right now. No, it's not a card for right now. He's saying, okay, this is a card post-Brexit as well, okay? So this is almost like, I want to say this is UK, and she's floating between the past and the future. She's not at either place. She's not in the past, she's not in the future. She's actually in what I'm hearing is no man's land, okay? She's in no man's land. And the flag that she's sitting on actually says, you are here, okay? You are here in no man's land. And that's probably the truth as well. It's not meaning to frighten anybody, it's the truth. No, it's, you know, we're one of the biggest players in the EU. We're certainly one of the biggest contributors. So when we pull out, it's like nobody else of that stature has pulled out yet. So it's like there aren't any rules. There are no rules that are written. How do we deal with you, you know? How do we deal with each other? What are the relationships that need to be forged? I don't know, because you're not in the past, you're not in the future, you're in the present, but it's like, it's not grounded. Can you see it's not grounded? She's floating up in the air. What is going to help with that, no man's land energy, is needing to be very flexible. And this is for everybody, okay? It's not just for Boris, this is for all of us. This is a collective message. The need to be flexible. Interesting, card number 19, that's his energy. Boris Johnson's a 19. He was born on the 19th, so he's going to have to be flexible in terms of how he deals with people. I feel almost like post-Brexit there's like a softening. It's like before we're into like, you know, the bull pit is what I saw, you know, the bull pit energy. Afterwards, that's not going to work anymore. You know, there's going to have to be a much softer, more pragmatic energy coming into play. And it's going to have to be based on, to be fair, okay? So it's done, you know, we're out, we're in no man's land. We're standing by that decision, but now we're going to have to make some decisions, and they're going to have to be based on justice and truth, and being fair to both parties, basically. And look what watches over that whole process. The owl watches over all of it. Okay, let's just pull a card, a tarot card. After tarot card, one for Boris and one for Brexit, and then I'm going to leave it here for now, because there's so many unknown variables, and there are so many variables that are going to be changing week by week. This can only really be a snapshot energy of what we've got right now, but let's just have a look at what we've got right now. Okay, can always come back to it another time. So who should we do first? Let's have a card for Boris, please, from the pack. My dog. One card for Boris. It's interesting, yeah. Thank you, Bella. There's a little message from Bella there, because Bella's one of these dogs where she's got a bark. She sounds so vicious. She's got a really loud bark. She sounds a vicious dog. She's the softest thing, you know. She's so soft. She's so gentle, and that's a bit like Boris. His bark's worse than his. No, that's not the right expression. Bark worse than his bite. His bark is worse than his bite. No, it is the right expression. It's like he appears to be this bull, this, you know, a pit bull type energy, but actually he's a teddy bear, is what I'm hearing. Oh, hold on. Just want one card. One card for Boris. Okay, that one's just fallen out. The Knight of Cups. Yeah, he's the Knight of Cups. He's got the Queen of Cups on the bottom of the pack. I think that's actually Her Majesty. I think he knows how to charm the ladies. I mean, he's already fallen foul of the Queen actually on day one, because what happened was, it's quite funny really. It's a typical Boris story. You know, the Queen sees her Prime Minister every week, okay? It's what she does. So she's lived through God knows how many Prime Ministers. Is it 12? It's a hell of a lot anyway. And she has to build up a relationship with each one, and they have tea every week, and they chat about what's going on in the world. And what is said in those meetings is completely sacrosanct. Nobody ever says what is said in those meetings. So day one, Boris goes to the palace to be crowned, you know, Prime Minister. And he comes out and he says, oh yes, she said to me, who would want that job? Straight away, the palace are onto him. You cannot divulge what the Queen says. But I already know, it's like Boris, next time he sees her, it's like, I don't know what he does, but he takes her some sweeties, or not sweeties, but it is, he's able to claw his way back from that. And there's a part of the Queen's energy is sort of like, I think she'll forgive him, so yeah, quite interesting. But look at the rank there. The rank is quite interesting. She's the Queen. He's only the knight. Don't get above your station, Boris. Look where the true power lies. The true power lies here, really. Don't know why I'm saying that, but because actually the Queen doesn't have a lot of power in terms of politics in our country. But I'm being shown, in rank. It's like, oh, okay. It's also because Boris has, he's quite aristocratic. And I don't think he comes from an aristocratic family, but they're certainly very well-to-do, okay? And they mix in quite noble, energies. You know, he went to Eton, he's part of that whole brigade, you know. So it's almost like Boris knows that he's not, you know, he's never going to sit on the throne, but he's okay being the knight. He's a knight of the crown is what I'm hearing. He's a knight of the crown, and he knows that. Okay, let's have one card now for Brexit from the tarot, and then I'm going to leave it here. It's 11:11. Well, if it's 11:11, which is a gateway energy, let's ask one card linked to Brexit. Four of Cups with the Nine of Pentacles on the bottom. Nine of Pentacles says it's going to be all right in the long run. You know, there is money, there is abundance, the harvest will come back, but there is going to be a period of mourning. I think I said that. I think I said that in the original Brexit video. I said there was going to be a period of mourning straight after it happens, which is, for some people, it will literally be like, what the hell have we done? And even for those who really want it, it'll be like, oh, well, actually, it was like I was trying to explain earlier, and I don't know if I explained it as well as I could do, which is this feeling of like, I really, really want it, and this is really the right thing to do, and, you know, it's going to be so great, utopia after it happens. And then it's like this sinking realization of like, oh, okay, well, there are still 2 cups standing, but there's 3 that have been knocked over. Not the most optimistic card to end on, so let me just see if I can say anything else about that. It is the number 5 though. It's the number 5. 5 is about change, so you can change that in an instant. You know, you can change from that to what we've got on the bottom, which is the 9 of Pentacles. But it will take work, is what I'm hearing. It's going to take work, and it's going to take commitment, and it's going to take determination to and it's I'm holding the 2 cards, but it's almost like they're 2 sides of the bridge. So we're going to have to cross that bridge, and we will be able to do that as a country and as people. But again, I think the word I want to put in the middle there between these 2 states is the word of trust and faith. Okay, trust and faith. Anything else to say before I end? Let's just end with a spray. Sorry, I'm looking at my sprays. They're all sitting in front of me. Which one to go for? What is that one? This is the lime heart spray. Let's go into our hearts. And as we go into our hearts and allow our hearts to open, let's just pull in that energy of love. And let's remember to see the divinity in everyone, in those we love and in those we are challenged by. If Boris challenges you, try to see the divine within him, just as much as he is within you and within me. He is being used as an instrument of the divine at this time to bring in change. And that change will be destructive. No. God, where did that come from? Why do that to me just as I'm signing off? That change will be destructive, I've just said. Okay, take me where I need to go. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, I understand now. What Metatron is saying is that the changes that are to come in, and this very man himself and his energy, can be destructive for anybody that wants to put their energy 110% against him. What I mean by that is what I was trying to articulate at the start of this video, that when somebody comes into power who is not in alignment with what you want, I'm not saying, Spirit is saying, don't protest or don't speak up. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm trying to convey, and what Metatron is trying to bring through, is that we know that energy can be either destructive or can be constructive and loving and build somebody up. So we're in times now where we've advanced in the fifth dimensional energy enough to be very powerful magicians in our own right. And so therefore, if you are somebody who is spiritual, who is doing the work, who is becoming magician-like in their energy, able to heal, able to manifest, if you put a lot of negative energy behind somebody, whether it's Boris Johnson or Brexit or anything else, what you end up doing is it's almost as though you put it behind that thing or that person, but it can actually rebound back to you. We know this, don't we? We know that if we send out negative energy to anything, it comes back to us. But it's almost as though when we get to talk about politics, all of the rules, all of the teachings of spirit seem to go out of the window and we forget it all. And we're being reminded now that actually this is a time to try to hold the highest vision and use our heart energy, which is love, to bring in a good reality linked to Brexit, linked into the UK, linked into Boris, linked ultimately into the world. Okay? Hope that makes sense. So let's go back into our hearts now. And let's see if we can just link into love. And let's see if we can just link into love for the highest potential, the highest good, for this new leader in our world and this great country, which is the UK. And for it to become, again, a beacon of light and hope. And I'm actually being asked, for those, some of you might not be able to do this, but I'm actually being asked, for those of us that can, I'm actually being shown Boris, and it's like there is this stream of light. It's like a download of light that wants to come in through him. It literally is like a beam of sunlight, but it's high vibrational light, it's codes, it's wisdom, it's tolerance, it's compassion, it's understanding, and it wants to come in through him, and at the moment he's not quite underneath it. And if we can just imagine that he's underneath that beam of light and just now allow that to flow through him. And as it flows through him, it flows right through his chakra system, and it switches on those qualities: empathy, compassion, understanding, kindness, tolerance, wisdom, and then root that right the way through him into his feet, into Gaia, into the earth. And I'm being told you can do that for any of your leaders around the world. The biggest mistake we're actually making is to add negative energy to what is already negative. If we can bring in an energy of love, including to those that we may not agree with or like, politically, socially, or even in our personal lives, we have a better chance as a species to see that person or thing manifesting a better version of themselves. Whether you like him or not, he's illuminated, he's destined to be here right now, and he is, I'm hearing the word, he has a stewardship. He has a stewardship. Oh, that's nice, I've got the star card. He has a stewardship to help us through these times as a country. The star card is the best in the pack. I love the fact that just came out. I was just playing with the cards and that I saw that one. So the star card is the one that's saying, have hope, dream, wish for the highest vision. For him, for the country, for the world, for yourself. Namaste. Good place to leave it. Much love. Interesting. He's an interesting character, and I, for one, I'm going to wish him well, as I would wish anybody well. Much love. Bye for now.